This is Martin from Gym Performance. I'm here with my man,
Coach Jason, Inspired Fitness.
From Hawaii.
From Hawaii, of course.
Originally from
where
Jamaica.
It's warm, not here in Switzerland where it's summertime and it's still freezing cold, but yeah,
It is what it is. We're about to do a full body workout, and we do not only show you how we structure the workout, but also point out common mistakes we see people doing whilst doing those exercises.
Exactly, so we're gonna walk you through a couple exercises today, maybe about 6 or so, and we'll each point out some things that we commonly see sort of go wrong or not ideally in the gym with some people. Then we'll show you the way we'd like you to perform these exercises, all right?
Just like a couple of things that you really need to pay attention to that you get most of those exercises.
Yep, all right.
Without further ado, let's go.
Let's go.
So the first exercise of this workout is going to be the incline bench press. Perfect chest builder, obviously. Now, what you need to pay attention to is that when you do the exercise, and Jason is going to demonstrate it, most people, they flare out their elbows completely. And most people, this applies to most people, this is not optimal because it puts a lot of stress onto your shoulders. So what helps, instead of going, just like that, if you tuck your elbows a little bit in, and this takes away the stress from elbows and puts actually the tension onto your chest. Much safer in the long run, especially also when you had like some kind of injury in the past. So make sure you tuck your elbows in just a little bit.
So another common problem that I see a lot in the gym, and this tends to be with people who have body, limb lengths and proportions similar to my own, using a weight that you can't control, using tension in your pecs, and then being forced into a position that is less stable for your shoulder joint. So I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like. Really what's happening is you're allowing the weight to push you into a position you really can't control, and then you're placing a lot of strain onto your shoulders. So this is what it sort of looks like. This is essentially the limit of my active range of motion from where I can continue to control the weight using tension in my pecs. If I allow the weight to push me beyond, for example, into this position, then that's really hard for me to get out of in a safe manner, because a lot of that initial movement is coming from soft tissue around my shoulder joint. Not good.
Side note, don't look around when you do the exercises. So we're here to demonstrate the exercise.
Yes, you don't want to strain your neck.
Don't look to the left or right, no matter what girl or man is standing there. Second exercise of this workout is going to be the pull-up. 10 years ago, I would always hear you have to do the wide grip pull-up because it's better for your lats, right? Now, for someone like me who is pretty small and has tiny limbs, this is not optimal because I'm going to demonstrate what happens if I go too wide. It's not a lot of range of motion. You see how I moved? Now, when I go a little bit more narrow, I'm not saying super extreme narrow, but just like, a little bit further than shoulder width, this all changes. Now I'm having much better range of motion, and I feel it much better in my lats. Okay, so depending on your body size, you don't want to go too wide.
All right, another thing for pull-ups, and this legitimately something you may see some people do, is what's called a kipping pull-up. Basically, you're using lower body and swinging momentum to get yourself up to the top of the pull-up, and then almost dropping your body weight back down. Reasons why this is not ideal: number one, you're really not placing significant tension in your lats to do the movement, and so you're getting less of a hypertrophy benefit from the exercise as if you were to do it as a strict pull-up. So Martin's going to demonstrate what a kipping pull-up is, and really you're just not getting the bang for your buck that you would want from a strict pull-up. All right? So here you have just a ton of momentum, throwing himself up to the pull-up and almost dropping his body weight down. Right? That's not something you'd necessarily want to do. It can have some benefit for a very specific reason. If you're not able to do a strict pull-up, getting yourself to the top and then controlling the negative downward can help to build that strength, but that's a completely different purpose as compared with doing a kipping pull-up.
Third exercise is the Romanian deadlift for our legs, especially for the hamstrings. Now, what you don't want to do, and Jason is going to demonstrate it right now, is to keep your legs completely stiff. This is what it shouldn't look like. You're just like more injury prone when you do that, and your range of motion, as you can see, is quite limited. All right. Now, do the right way. Have a slight angle here at your knee, and when you do so, bigger range of motion, stay more stable, and therefore you also can do the exercise more effective and more secure.
All right, so with the Romanian deadlift, the purpose here is to place load on your hamstrings and your glutes. And one of the more common things that we see in the gym that is not ideal is people are placing the load on their lower back by rounding their spine as they go into the hinging portion of the movement. So Martin's going to demonstrate what that looks like. And the idea here is you really don't want to be placing straight on your lower back. That can really open you up to injury. So you can see his lumbar spine, even his thoracic right there, heading into flexion. You really don't want that. You want to be able to keep your spine nice and flat. So let's flatten that spine out, see what that looks like. Perfect. So tension in the hamstrings, tension in the glutes, and really just the spinal muscles for stabilization.
The next exercise is for the shoulders, the lateral dumbbell raises. When you do this exercise, make sure that you stop parallel to the ground, because when you go higher, and again, Jason's going to demonstrate that, your traps are taking over, and this is an exercise for the shoulders, not for the traps. So now do it correctly. Make sure you stop really just parallel to the ground, so the tension stays on the shoulders. This is how you want to do it.
So another mistake that we see commonly with dumbbell lateral raises is using a ton of momentum to get the weight up, essentially. And usually that's because someone's using weight that they can't actually control using their medial delts, right? That's the bottom line. It's sort of an ego lift, thinking they need to lift heavier weights than they can manage, right? So Martin's going to demonstrate what it looks like when you're using momentum for this exercise. And I'm going to stand out of the way. Exactly. Now what you want to be doing is keeping your lower body nice and stable, keeping your torso nice and stable, reaching away from your body with your arms to really keep the tension on that medial delt. So we're going to do a dumbbell bicep curl now, and one of the things that we see commonly in the gym is a lot of movement here coming from the shoulder, but you'll see the elbow creeping forward. And really what you're doing, you're not doing yourself any favors, because by moving the elbow forward, you're already shortening your bicep a bit, and so going from here to here, you're getting less of a shortening of the bicep than if you were from here to here. So Martin's going to demonstrate what that looks like. You're probably going to recognize this as something you see a lot in the gym. So a lot of movement through here, elbow coming forward, rather than keeping that shoulder nice and still, elbow by his side, a lot more tension being generated right there by the bicep.
The next thing we see people doing in the gym when it comes to doing biceps curls is they're using a lot of momentum, a lot of swinging. And Jason, do it. I'm 100% sure that you've seen it, and I'm telling you, it's not what you want to do when you want to build muscle mass and build for hypertrophy. Now, the right way to do it, just steady, slow, and controlled. You will get much better muscle recruitment, much better gains. So again, ego aside, do it slowly, controlled, for much better gains. Next exercise is going to be for the triceps, so for the big arms, and we are doing push downs here. Now, what we see people doing a lot is they're, again, not lugging out their elbows. They're going forward with the shoulders, and it almost becomes like an exercise for the back, which it shouldn't be. Now, the way you want to do it is you lock your elbows, and as you can see, they're in the same position all the time. And this way, you keep the stress on your triceps, and this way, you get the good big triceps for the big arms.
So another thing you'll commonly see in the gym with the tricep press down is, and usually when people are using more weight than they can actually handle and control their tricep, is a very limited range of motion, right? That's not optimal again for hypertrophy. You want to be able to train the full range of motion that your tricep is capable of executing. So Martin's going to demonstrate what this looks like, and again, usually with a weight that's just too heavy. So instead of getting into a full range of motion where his arm would lock out fully here, get into a relatively fully shortened tricep, he's really getting probably half the range of motion from this because the weight is just simply too heavy. Those are the common things that we see with the exercises that we demonstrated for you guys here today. And really, if your objective is muscle growth, so hypertrophy, any of the mistakes that we showed you today are ones that are really not doing you any favors, right? And it boils down to really three main things. The first thing is avoiding momentum while you're executing the exercises. That's going to take away from the tension generation with the muscles that you're targeting and therefore a reduced hypertrophy response.
Yeah, the second takeaway of this workout is that you use appropriate weight, leave your ego at home, at the gym door, because you want to reduce the risk of injury and you want to get the maximum possible amount of gains you can get.
Exactly.
Therefore, again, don't overdo it. Use a weight that you can handle during the entire exercise.
And then finally, just recognizing what your active range of motion is for any particular exercise and remain within that range of motion. So again, you can get the maximum benefit from what you're doing. So, I mean, overall, these tips really boil down to one take-home message, which is quality of a workout over quantity of weight lifted or even of exercises done, right? The name of the game is to be really smart with what you're doing so that you get the most benefit with the least amount of quote-unquote effort and time. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Maybe use that video as a reference whenever you do those exercises. I think and hope it's helpful.
Yeah.
If it is,
thumbs up.
Please give this video a thumbs up.
Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment if it was helpful, so we know it helps you and that we can do more videos like that. With that being said, thanks for doing this video with me.
Yeah, wrapped up.
And until next time.
Some bullshit.